Hey, what's happening guys? Michael with Tech Heads here, and today we've got our hands on the brand new Apple TV, which is sporting a slightly new form factor, new touch-enabled remote with Siri, and new software, tvOS. Now inside the box you're going to find almost everything you need to get started. The new Apple TV itself, remote, power cord, lightning cable to charge the new remote, and the getting started guide. Everything except, once again, for an HDMI cable. Come on Apple, it's 2015. Stop charging $19 for an HDMI cable. Taking a look at the device's new form factor, and you'll see that not a lot has changed. In fact, the length and the width are the same 3.9 inches as previous gen Apple TVs. It's only when you look at the height that things start to change, with the new Apple TV measuring in at 1.4 inches tall, while the previous Apple TV was only 0.9 inches tall. So with that extra height, you're getting Apple's more powerful A8 chip compared to the A5 in the previous gen, and beefier storage options, choosing either 32GB for $149 or 64GB for $199. There's also been some changes to the ports, with the new Apple TV packing HDMI 1.4 and 100 megabit Ethernet, but no longer carrying optical audio. It is now using USB Type-C for support and service. Oh, and let's go ahead and get it out of the way right now, the new Apple TV does not support 4K. Maybe next year. Compared to the last generation remotes, the new Apple TV remote is a welcome change, adding additional functionality with volume up and down buttons, dedicated Siri button with dual microphones, and a glass touch surface for easy navigation. It's still pretty light, but it does feel solid in the hand, and inside it's packing Bluetooth 4.0, IR transmitter, accelerometer, and gyroscope for gaming, and a rechargeable battery that Apple says can last for months on a single charge. But don't worry if the new remote suddenly dies on you, because the old remotes do still work on the new TV. But enough about the hardware. While tvOS is visually very similar to the previous software, everything has a more modern and up-to-date look, and a lot of your favorite apps like Netflix and HBO have some slick new interfaces to make everything feel fresh. Apple's also supplying some gorgeous new screensavers with the promise to add more for free monthly. But there's really two big new features that make tvOS stand out from the previous Apple TV, and the first one is the App Store. Just like apps skyrocketing the iPhone and iPad to success, Apple's now betting big on apps for the TV with an SDK for tvOS. In addition to the apps you're familiar with for consuming your content, there's already a handful of other apps available like Airbnb, Guilt, and of course games. Now I personally think that games will be a huge success on the Apple TV, essentially making it one of the most affordable consoles in the market, with third parties already creating compatible controllers for additional features and multiplayer action. The other big selling point for the new Apple TV is Siri, and she's all about search. For example, you can say, "Show me the TV show Friends," and you can see which apps the show is available to watch on. You can get more specific, like, "Show me the episode of Friends with Brad Pitt," and Siri will take you to that specific episode. You can also use more general searches to help you find types of content, like, "Show me some horror movies from the 1980s. And you can also ask about a small number of other things, like info about the show or movie you're currently watching, sports scores, and the weather. Now Siri's been pretty spot on so far with my brief testing, and while the apps she can utilize are still pretty limited, I expect she'll get even better over time as more developers get familiar with the platform. So there you go guys, that's the new Apple TV, and while at the surface there's not a ton different right now aside from the controller and Siri, those two things are actually a bigger deal than you might think, as I already enjoy using both and really wouldn't want to go back to my old Apple TV. But that said, the App Store is still pretty sparse right now, and a lot of people are pretty upset about the lack of 4K. Now I suspect that within 6 months' time there will be a ton of great apps and games available on tvOS, making the device well worth the purchase price. But if 4K really is a deal breaker for you, you're going to be much better suited going with an Amazon Fire TV, Roku 4, or just wait for next year's Apple TV.